Morning, pullets. Morning, Orden. You got hay fit. Tulip. There's something out here I would like to show you. We have calf and brand new calf. Hi, little guy. Nice to meet you. I'm not sure if this is a guy or a gal, but they were born last night at about 7 o'clock. That makes 9 calves. All the cows we expected to have calves have had their calves. And it is a beautiful morning out in the chicken pasture. Howdy, turkeys. Are you happy to see me? I thought so. We gotta clean out your water, watch out. Well, Hilarie filled your food. Go get some breakfast. Peaceful turkeys. We're gonna deal with these guys after breakfast. Good morning, little piggers. How are you guys doing? Hi, Brownie. Brownie's 9 piglets are doing well. They're 5.5 weeks old now. At 6 weeks, they're going out and getting sold to another nearby farm. All right, Mom, let's get you some water. Hey, John boy, your old buddy. John and Red are living in the lap of luxury. They got a big wallow out there, and they're just mud puppies these days. Just the way pigs like it, right, John? Some for Mom, and some for little piggies and Mom. You guys aren't so shy when there's food involved. Let's see what's going on over here. I see a chipmunk. Howdy, piggers. Come out and see me. Food versus fear of human? No, food's starting to win. Ezra, it's about time you showed up. Where you been, kitty? Where you been? You must have been out late last night. This is the last of the cat food, Ezra. After this, you're going to have to fend for yourself. It is time to move the laying hens. These outriggers help keep the wagon from blowing over in a stiff wind, something I've seen happen before. It's kind of tight in here. The edge of the field's there, the bales are there, so I can't make that swing, so we're going to have to back it up to the next spot. I'll share a little secret with you about backing up four-wheeled wagons, because a lot of people have trouble with it. You always look at the hitch tube here. Don't bother with the wagon itself. You want to look at the relationship of the angle here and the angle here. And that's the key to backing these monsters up. I think you want to stay on that line so I can get the tractor in here to pull bales out. You're good.
I'm alright, Brian.
Hey turkeys, I gotta steal the water hose here. Look at this fine, tender alfalfa that's in here. The chickens love eating this stuff, and it's good. Makes good eggs. You got yourself a piece. You're missing some feathers. Hey, little one. I don't know if you remember, but a few weeks ago I put this Rubbermaid float valve on the tank here. I never tried one of these things before, and I had my doubts. It turns out they stink. About 2 weeks after I put it in, the stem here that comes off to connect onto the hose broke. It's made of plastic. So I'm taking this thing back to Tractor Supply and saying I want my money back. And meantime, I ordered one of the metal little giant float valves, which has always worked good for us. Meanwhile, I got to fill this thing every day with a hose until the new one comes in. Gives me a good chance to put an eye on these troublemaking cows and calves. This guy can't make up his mind whether he wants a drink or not. Nope, that'll stop him. Here's something to update everyone on. I've had a lot of questions about where to get farm merchandise lately, particularly this hat, which I am partial to myself. A viewer sent me a bunch of hats. This is one of them. And we're talking to a merchandise company now, an independent one, that's independent of YouTube, because I think you get better quality that way. But surprisingly, it takes a lot of time to get all the arrangements made and the products ready. So look for that in, I don't know, month and a half, hopefully. Oh, and if there's anything in particular you'd like to see in terms of merchandise, let me know down in the comments section. Oh my gosh, what is this? What is he doing? What is that? It's hanging in front of the door. Why does he do that? Oh, gosh, it needs to be trimmed. I'm going through the door. Hi, MD. Well, let's see. We need this, and we need these, which are buried under some other stuff. And then, of course, we have to go out here because this is the place we always go in videos. Howdy, cows. You playing King of the Mountain? Hello, Patty. It's nice to see you. Now we get to do one of my favorite things on YouTube, which is a fly control update. Everything needs to be emptied and replaced. Social media is like a giant echo chamber, and this is one of the things that's been echoing around on farm channels forever. Yes, I do watch other farm channels, and yes, I have seen probably any sort of fly control that you will comment on those channels, and I've seen things that work better than others. What I'm doing is working all right, but if you get 10 farmers in a room and you talk about the top 10 topics that are bugging them, so to speak, fly control won't even be on the list. We got to replace these too. I guess I undertook this fly control experiment more as an edification to viewers than for my own or the cattle's benefit. Yes, fewer flies does have benefits for cattle, but not to the extent that you would think if you just watch YouTube videos about it. Thank you, Patty. We already got some of those little buggers on the sheet. But there's 3 jars here that need to be dumped. Those nastiness. Pure nastiness. As you probably know, I've been using 3 measures for fly control ever since the beginning of fly season in April. Redmond garlic salt to repel the flies from the cattle. These jar traps, which by far have caught the most flies of any measure. And these glue sheets, which catch quite a few flies. I suppose if I covered the side of the barn, that would probably work, but I'm not going to do that. One of the things I've found is that whether you catch more flies on the sunny side or the shady side depends on the weather you're getting. If it's very hot weather, you'll catch more on the shady side. If it's cool and rainy like it's been for the last week or so, you'll catch more on the sunny side. As for the Redmond garlic salt, I really can't tell. It doesn't seem to have done that much. And there's a good study that I read where it had an effect on approximately 50% of the farms that tried it. So it's kind of a roll of the dice whether it's going to work for you. But I'm willing to wait till the second year to see if there's a cumulative effect. I found that a shot of carb cleaner in the jar, oh, my can's getting low, will permanently anesthetize the flies faster than just suffocating them. Leave a little bit in there as seed for the next crop of flies. I find that these traps catch a lot of blue bottle flies, which are normally compost type flies, dead stuff type flies, maybe other dead flies type of flies. Don't see very many of them on the cattle blue bottles. Gasoline. Ignition. Oh, that heavenly smell. You should feed the dead flies to the chickens. No, I'm not feeding the chickens rotten flies that have been sitting in a trap for a couple weeks. Nope. Plus I get my jollies out of burning them. Revenge, you might say. I don't mean to sound too negative, but you know, sometimes it just all gets to me. People telling me what to do, how to do my business. I'm not soliciting feedback on how I farm. I'm just showing y'all what goes on here. Ugh, nasty stuff. Can you hear Titus? Another thing I found is that the smell of these changes if you just keep recycling some of the rotten flies in them, and they become less attractive. I don't know how to explain it, and I probably don't need to. Suffice it to say, once in a while you got to put in a fresh one of these stinky bags to refresh the wonderful aroma. And here we have a fresh fly buffet. Has all this made any difference, all these fly control things? I really can't tell. Cattle still got a lot of flies on them, and like I said, I'm willing to carry it over to next year and see if there's a cumulative effect with less flies or fewer flies overwintering. We'll just keep it up. Cat on a towel? Cat on a towel. Do you know how difficult this is to do one-handed? It's not easy. It really isn't. There we go. I'm going to go down and check on the cattle's pasture supply. They're down here in our bottom field, 5 acres. It's only half the herd though. The other half is up in the barn with Orden the bull. And as I said in the last video, our pastures have really taken off with all the rain that we got. Lots of things for the cattle to eat out here, and probably our most nutritious pasture of the whole season. Just take a look. This is just a little area. So what do we see? Well, this is orchard grass and timothy here, these leaves. But all this stuff sprinkled down in here is all clover and alfalfa. Here's an alfalfa leaf, and you all know what clover looks like. Clover and alfalfa are the most protein-rich types of forage that we grow on pasture. And on our farm, the percentage of them versus the grasses goes up through the season. As we come through midsummer and into fall, midsummer when it's dry, alfalfa really takes off because it's deep-rooted. And then through the fall, we've got both alfalfa and clover kind of competing, where we'll run into situations where we're grazing at least 60% legumes. And that protein is what you want. I mean, that's what puts beef on the animal. Titus, you know, he's got to have respect paid to him. He always comes to see me. Hi, Rusty. nip off those alfalfa heads. And of course, Patty's always feeding her face. There's a trio. 3 calves. Now 2 calves. 1 calf over there. I wonder where Titus is going. He's heading off all by himself. That's not common. This is a good time to assess how our forage situation is for the year, because we're coming to the end of dry hay season. You can make dry hay here in exceptional weather in early October, but you can't plan on that. Usually the window starts to close in mid-August, and I try to have all my dry hay work done by the first week in September. The problem is that the days get shorter and the dews get heavier, and it just gets really hard to dry. I'm done with hay for the year. Now, we had an exceptionally dry year. We had good haying weather in early June, got a good first cutting, and then it dried up. So it's a double whammy for us, because on this 30 acres of forage, we're making both hay and grazing. So when it gets dry, we have to graze more land, and then we wind up making less hay. I think Titus came up here to trash talk Orden. They're murmuring to each other. Orden's right over there. Here's where we stand on hay. This upper barn is about half full of round bales. To get through the winter months and situations like the bulls being in the barn for a couple months in the summer and Orden's group being in there for breeding, as well as out in the winter pasture, I've said in previous videos we need about 125 equivalent 5x5 round bales to get us through a year. What have we got here? Well, I made about 60 5x5 round bales, and I bought another 90 4x4 round bales, which are 1/2 equivalent of a 5x5 round bale. So I have 60 of my own plus equivalent 45 bales from the neighbor farmer. So that gives me 105 in here. I fed some out to the cattle during the dry spell. So I would say we probably have closer to 95 round bales in here right now. Plus some overage from last winter in the back of the barn, our reserve stock of 20 more. So that brings us up to, I don't know, what does it bring it up to? Let's just say 100. But I have some more hay tucked away out here. My first neighbor farmer hay supplier, who's about 2 miles straight down the road, only had 90 to sell me this year because they got hurt too by the dry weather. So zigzagging up to the next road, about 3 miles away, there lives another farmer neighbor who sold me these. These are about 4x5 net wrapped, rotocut, tightly baled round bales, and they're about equivalent to my looser 5x5 bales. There were 44 of them here, but I've fed a few. You can see that row shorter there. And if you add all that up, I should have enough hay to get through the winter, but I have this mentality about hay that you can never have too much and you never ever empty your barn out. So I'll probably buy a couple more loads of bales, probably 20 to 30 bales off that second neighbor. Because if there's one thing that's true about the weather these days, it's that I have no idea what next summer's going to be like. Could be really dry, could be soaking wet, could be really hot. Who knows? Hey, Red. My gosh, you're in pig paradise, aren't you? Yeah. That's going to do it for today's video. I know I did a lot of talking, but sometimes that's necessary to bring you all up to speed. We got to feed those cows down the barn because they're yelling again. We got to get a bale of hay out. You know what we're having for dinner tonight?
We're having beef. It's what's for dinner.
We are having beef. I've been sous videing a Boston beef roast for a day and a half, and we're having salt potatoes, which are a local favorite in our neck of the woods. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I think so.
I think so.